football on The Football Review.
Win free airtime with hashtag #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. Hashtag #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUF for life. We are IUF.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Maggie Forciero. In the news tonight, give the Kalume family some space, says social worker. Yanangola questions why political leaders don't get vaccinated. Shack dispute leaves 11 homeless. And Roundup, Comments Corner, Sports on One, Business on One, and the weather. Now for the news in detail. As much as it's good that Samaritans are making efforts to support Hilia Kalume, there is a need for the mother who just recently gave birth to quintuplets to be spared being overwhelmed, as according to her social worker, she should be allowed to heal physically and mentally. Isai Sipunga has this report.
Imagine becoming renowned for giving birth to the country's first quintuplets and having the media, top government and corporates spoiling you with all sorts of gifts. For some, this sounds great, while for others, a total nightmare, especially when ill-prepared. Helena Matengu, the social worker in charge of the Kalume family's psychosocial development and support, explained why it's important for Hilia to recover fully without disturbances.
Besides the exciting news regarding that, as a mother, there are certain emotional interaction that she goes through, and this obviously fear of where the babies are going to be and fear on how I'm going to take care of this. You only had 2 babies, now you're going to have 7. So there is a lot that goes around emotionally as a mother. So the psychosocial support that we are offering basically is not only to her, it's to all our mothers in Prem unit, because these are babies born too early. They need support in and out basically from the time of delivery. The families need support, and the social workers, we need to chip in and see that how are we able to support them by our own means.
As if things couldn't get more stressful, Hilia Kalume lost one of the quintuplets. This became known during a visit by the Khomas Regional Governor, Laura McLeod.
I do not know whether the Namibian nation now is aware that we lost one fish, the Khomas Regional Council, as well as the region, to Hilia and the husband.
Not only is counseling required for mothers, but also the health workers, says Matengu. She added that a lot of debriefing needs to take place before going home to their families.
On top of the mothers and the families needing psychosocial support on how they can basically cope with the hospital, leaving your other kids at home and all this, the staff also needs support. The staff needs support because it's on a day-to-day basis, it's draining and it's emotional it's emotional, traumatizing as well from the experience that they are going through, because they also need basically that well-being, that debriefing that will help them calm down and prepare them as well for going home to their families and be fresh again to come back home for the next day.
The remaining 4 babies are said to be doing fine and were also issued with birth certificates today by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security.
My brother, if she say no, she means no. Let's speak out against gender-based violence. Together, we can make Namibia a safer place for everyone. My Namibia, my country, my pride.
In the wake of President Hage Geingob and First Lady Monica Geingoss testing positive for COVID-19, human rights activist Phil Yanangolo is calling on national leaders like President Hage Geingob, Bernardus Swartboy, Job Amopanda and Dr. Pandoleni Itula to get vaccinated for this deadly virus. NAM writes, however, strongly applauds founding father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Nujoma, NUDO President Dr. Esther Munyangwe and PDM President Honorable McHenry Vanani for getting their jobs and thereby having led by example. Leston Waller has more.
Human rights activist Phil Yanangolo said that our nation faces real and present dangers of being devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic with catastrophic consequences for human rights, human life, and for sustainable socio-economic development.
For example, President Hage Geingob did on the 17th of March 2020, and he was congratulated by the international community and also the regional community in Africa to have taken drastic measures to curb the spread of this deadly pandemic. Now, by the same measure, you would have expected then President Geingob and other leaders to be in the first line to get vaccinated and thereby to lead by example. So our leaders, if they are not getting vaccinated, as I said, it creates an impression that it creates an impression in the minds of so many people who are vaccine hesitant that there is in fact a problem with vaccination, whereby there is absolutely no problem at all. There is all benefits if people are getting vaccinated.
Phil Yanangolo further noted that there is a real or perceived vaccine hesitancy on the part of the overwhelming majority of the political party leaders that serves to reinforce widespread or often primitive, superstitious or cultist beliefs that COVID-19 vaccination is unsafe.
Yeah, I'm one of the living examples, and there are many others, leaders like Prime Minister Saraku Hongerwa Amadira. There is the Vice President Dr. Nangolo Mbumba and others who have been vaccinated, and we are still alive and very well. That's a clear sign that the conspiracy theories are what they are, false, and they must not be believed at all. It is just propaganda, mainly by right-wingers around the world who are either anti-vaccine or deliberately preventing people from getting vaccinated for one reason or the other. Yes, indeed. That is a stark reminder that this virus has got no protocol at all, doesn't fear, does not discriminate anyone regardless of your position in society. It will get you if you are not vaccinated. And that, again, emphasizes the need to be vaccinated. And that's why myself and my organization continue to encourage citizens, including leaders, to get vaccinated.
getting vaccinated first or at all against the COVID-19 virus. Our political leaders also demonstrate that laws and regulations as well as related protocols and practices are not only intended for the governed but also for governors, says Nyangolo.
It's Spar Rewards winner car time, and you could be turning your shopping into one of 50 limited edition Hyundai Grandite hands. Plus, get incredible deals like Spar pre-packed cheese for just $84.99 and 3 kg Sunlight hand washing powder for only $52.99. Remember, every participating product you buy gets you another entry to win when you swipe your Spar Rewards card. Spar Rewards winner car, now on.
11 people are left to sleep outside in the cold in the Okahanja Park informal settlement after their shack was demolished following a court order. This report from Hendrina Kanyolo.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Esther Hailonga is fighting for a place to stay for her family after the place they called home for over a decade was demolished after a court order was issued by the owner of the place. Esther says she spent a night in prison when she and her family refused to remove their belongings from the shack that once belonged to their father.
Utokalanga tulisive mbapila tadinziko kadonaka dekatushine kuti otaditsinge ipishashi fione nine tuifana kuja tukakala nyuntumba shotule sherum opo basuviano napo okujanena atuningi ngoma ongenda balangeno otwaku community leader ongelo ko ituno meeting amasonda ko inetati aya tumuifana shotu tushakanene na cancel ane inatumona esitwirwa hapo ko polisi wapo tafikela tupatirwa ko unda kunyesta patirwa ko unda inatuja ko ne vali vamwe vavali umo kunoka na umo kunetelelo kwatsi wawita amangu apo shiketwa ka modolongo nena nkoto ajapa atubelwa mwetsine atuyako mombo fione nali natango tuleke omlesa katuna kucha piko shopenya atuninge omafikwina piko shano kulina tulya natumone kwa fola sha fione nanga peni pidziro lwango nengashi mwafane kamwatala mubasho bashona shile nankoto otamono kana momwezi tawe yakatuna kucha otamonene penya apike ishitadziko shipangelo apatu helpingile oshiriai twadzira dzira ngotu kwa fero nandonele ka apatu nangala shafipeko twifini nikikelo tunangale ngopo njopo enelo dovano dzishona munango nini maetu poika tunangala ngono potalo utala shebe tushongola tubakufa.
Been living here for about a decade, and the situation now is someone like came to destroy our shack, claiming that this whole place is yours, and now we just don't know where to go or what to do because we are homeless. We need help. Apparently he bought the earth, but according to what I heard from the community leader, they are saying that this whole place is still illegal, so no one have the right to own a place here. So she now told us that the place is in arrears, so she has been paying money from the municipality, and I've been asking the proof of the proof of ownership. She once brought us some papers, but they don't have municipality stamp or either the municipality logo. So on top of it, she called someone from Ndangwa to come measure here in Windhoek. It's actually a surveyor.
The city of Windhoek has, however, confirmed to Today on One that the property belongs to Frida Mkoto, the owner who vacated the family.
The owner of the plot, which is Mrs. Frida Haikali, she owns the plot in the sense that she has a lease agreement with the city of Windhoek. So there's a couple of areas where we have lease agreements with. Some areas there's what we call certificate of land occupation. The land occupation certificate you don't pay, we just acknowledge future we will start billing you, but at this point in time not yet. But there's those that has lease agreements, so they have the right to the plots, and the onus is on them to decide as to who stays on the plot. At this, as we speak, given that she has the proof, the certificate that she has a lease agreement with the city of Windhoek, that's where she decided to make use of that right, given that she has the papers in her hand, to evict the illegal occupants. So the rightful owner of that plot in question as we speak is actually Ms. Haikali and no one else. Haikoto, just to put it correct, Ms. Haikoto, not Haikali. The lease we bill you every month. You have a PO box, we send it to your PO box, or we do send it via email, the bill. So it's for you to come and pay if you are in arrears. We also make sure that we notify you that, listen, Ms. Haikoto, your lease is in arrears. You need to come make payment. It's a minimal amount. So it's a matter for you occupying that plot before we develop it to make use of it, and for you to have the right to stay on that plot.
The family is therefore seeking for assistance for a place to stay, as at the moment they have nowhere to go and have to store their belongings with nearby neighbors. Meanwhile, Amkoto, who did not want to speak on camera, said that she is paying for the property and had no further comment on the matter.
Community Voices proudly brought to you by Namdeb Diamond Corporation. Good today, better tomorrow.
Are you a CMS member? With HospiCash 100, you can get up to 100,000 Namibian dollars cover with a 30,000 limit per event from as little as 100 Namibian dollars a month. We understand that being in hospital can be stressful. That is why with HospiCash 100, you can cover your non-medical expenses by receiving cash payouts when you are in hospital, so you can recover stress-free. Interested? SMS your name and HospiCash to 555 and we will call you back.
In our Health Ministry, in its daily update on COVID-19 in Namibia, noted that as of 26 May 2021, there are 3,207 active cases. 242 are hospitalized, of which 51 are in ICU high care. 10 deaths were recorded from Windhoek, Marienthal, Reboth and Swakopmund districts. As schools across the country opened for face-to-face learning, parents and guardians are urged to keep all children who are ill or experiencing signs and symptoms consistent with COVID-19 infection at home until they recover. This will help to control exposure to other learners and school staff. The ministry is calling on all learners to strictly follow the COVID-19 infection prevention and control measures at all times. Wear your masks correctly and consistently. Frequently wash your hands with soap and clean water, or sanitize with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and maintain social distance of at least 1 meter apart. Avoid hugging and shaking hands and cover coughs with the elbow. The country is currently experiencing high numbers of COVID-19 cases from active community transmission and increased deaths. It is therefore imperative for everyone to take upon themselves the responsibility of caring for their neighbor by following the national COVID-19 regulations, such as avoiding public gatherings and unnecessary travel. If you are isolated or quarantining at home, to comply with the isolation and quarantine guidelines and stay at home. Seek urgent medical attention when you start experiencing signs of COVID-19 infection, such as difficulty with breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, inability to wake or stay awake, and new confusion. Members of the public are encouraged to get vaccinated as it strengthens your immune response to the virus infection and reduces your chance of getting hospitalized or dying once infected by the virus. And Transnamib, in a media statement, 5th of May, was restored and operational again as from 1900 hours on the image at the site of the incident. The cause of the derailment will be established through an investigation launched, and they are also in the process to determine the cost of the damage to the company's rolling stock.
Winter is here. Let's warm you up by giving you a chance to win one of 12 gas heaters and accessories or a grand prize of 50,000 Namibian dollars. To enter the Winter Warmers competition, simply buy any combination of 2 or more of the following participating brands: Five Roses, Fresh Pack, Frisco, or Hug in a Mug, and SMS Winter to 445. And remember to keep your till slip as proof of purchase. Promotions run from the 1st of May to the 31st of July. For more information and entry details, visit 99fm.com.na. T's and C's apply.
Joseph Shifeni standing by for today's Business on One and Economic Indicators.
Welcome to Business on One. I'm Joseph Shifeni. The Executive Director of the National Planning Commission, NPC, Valencia Uras, has called on public-private partnerships to remedy the challenges in addressing the national housing backlog. Joseph Ilonga has more.
At a recent stakeholder meeting on land and housing delivery targets of the Harambee Prosperity Plan 2, the Executive Director of the NPC, during her presentation on financing options and opportunities for delivering urban housing, described public-private partnerships as a potential funding methodology to address the national housing backlog, further adding that the housing crisis is a national challenge and more innovative funding methodologies are required to address the national housing backlog.
Government have been talking of PPPs, but to this date, there's no type of PPP arrangement in place. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the remedies, what are the challenges that we are facing to access that potential way of funding our projects. And then pension funds, we have a lot of money in our pension funds, whether it's the GIPF or other private pension funds. How do we release more funding than what is currently allowed through the legislations? We cannot continue relying on government to provide funding for these needs. National housing is a national challenge, not just a government challenge, although the greater responsibility is placed on government to facilitate that. GRN capacity is stretched and limited. Therefore, innovative funding methodologies are required, and from NPC's side, we remain ready to embark on a more aggressive exploratory process to funding housing, especially in urban areas. But as the discussion now also just took place, it also really to also look at how do we do it also in rural areas.
The GIPF reported that through its developmental investment policy, it has committed 5% of its assets under management, which is 132 billion Namibia dollars, that is geared towards developmental investments, of which infrastructure is the lion's share. Sarah Mezwe Engo, the manager for alternative investments at GIPF, expressed that for several years, GIPF has strived to address the issue of pension-backed home loan schemes, but unfortunately, due to the pension fund's regulatory policy, GIPF is restricted when it comes to providing such loan schemes.
So often we criticize about the pension-backed home loan scheme at GIPF. It is something we've been trying to address for 3.5 years. The truth of the matter is we are a defined benefit pension fund. What we've done is we've set up a tender that's in the market. A lot of the banks here have participated. It's called an innovative end-user funding scheme. We've had discussions with the Center for Affordable Housing Africa to understand what other innovative means to access end-user funding exist there, and let's try and see if we can do that in Namibia. Very early on in 2011, when First Capital Housing Trust Fund was established, the idea was to do a pension-backed home loan scheme. But because of the reasons I mentioned, we quickly had to stop because we are regulated by NAMFISA. We are a regulated entity. So it's restricted by regulation, and that's why First Capital could not get off the ground to what it does. But because of this regulation bound by the Pension Funds Act, First Capital's housing or rate at which they lend is lower than the banks because it is repo plus 4. So it is lower than the banks, it's not higher. But it's restricted in the sense that the members are so many and they are over indebted, and a lot of them can't access normal funding. So people have the means to afford. If they had to go to the bank, their pre-approval would be high, but the reality is they can't access this housing. It's something that pains us. We have several principals who, when they retire, they will show you their fund credit. They are going to get 1.4 million or 1.8 million. They tell us, what must I do with this money when I'm 60 years old? I want a house today. So it's a very painful matter and a situation that we really would like to resolve.
Wiras also expressed that, with the government being financially overburdened in supporting housing development projects over the years, the government has also seen a drastic decline in external financing through grants from development partners that can be attributed to Namibia's classification as an upper middle income country.
That's all we have for you. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Business on One.
Pip's got denim for the whole family at unbeatable prices. Like for babies, only $59.99. For girls at $69.99. Men's only $169.99. And ladies, just $119.99. That's lower than last year's price. Get more deals on denim in store. Life's better with Pip.
Now we look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from the hottest social media pages. The presidency has announced that President Harry Geingob and the First Lady, Madame Monica Geingoss, tested positive for COVID-19. The President and the First Lady are in good spirits and self-isolating at their residence. Johannes says getting COVID-19 is normal, adding that we should all fight it like everyone else. Olivia Lucas asked whether they will not be flown out for treatment, wishing them a speedy recovery. Jonah wants to know whether they have been vaccinated. Now let's have a look at some of the well wishes from members of the public. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast every day only on Today on One.
The Namibia Statistics Agency is busy with census mapping, a preface for the main population and housing census to be conducted in 2021. census mapping aims to demarcate the entire Namibia into uniquely defined units of enumeration areas to provide an accurate national geographic frame to conduct census. To find out more, tune in to Conversations with the NSA on Sunday the 3rd from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on One Africa.
Welcome to Sports on One. I'm Chairo Musiandaka. Officially started on the 9th of April, the Futsal Invite-Only League is now in its final stages. Semi-finals and the finals will be played this Saturday, 29 May. Let's cross over to Castro Lumbu, who has more on this story.
Founder of Futsal Namibia gave feedback on the invite-only league first round games, describing it as a success, noting that educating the participants were some of the challenges endured during the league tournament.
What we can say is that it's been very successful. The players have been very happy with the environment, with the venue, with the fact that there's professional refs, the fact that there's rules that we stick to very strictly. It's very important for us that we establish the right discipline when it comes to futsal, the right way of playing, because we believe this is the beginning of much bigger things and much bigger tournaments and leagues. Yeah. From our experience, I think it was, honestly, we get goosebumps when we speak about it, because when we saw the atmosphere in here when there was an intense game, when you know, you had the last league weekend and teams needed to score a certain amount of points to make it. The atmosphere in here, the way the encouragement that was happening, the shouting, the screaming, the drama was exactly what we were looking for. Challenges themselves, it came when it came to educating the players when it comes to the rules, when it comes to the sportsmanship that needs to happen here. Other than that, we had very good refs, which we are starting to train to become futsal referees. Upside has been watching them and mentoring them, and so far we have FIFA qualified refs, which will be soon.
Futsal Namibia League director and founder are looking into developing more late paid internationally.
We have some big plans. We are busy becoming the futsal body for Namibia. We want to become official, and we want to start with the academy. We want to start. We have another league that's starting mid-June, mid-July, end of where we're trying to involve the Premier League teams, create our own first division with the teams that have played, and we've seen them play in futsal so far. Again, women development is quite big with us, and the youngsters, the under 17, which is quite important.
And at least start with a youth development program, especially if we touch on the girls. That's very important for us. We really want to bring up the girls to better quality of play.
The idea is looking at the skill development from grassroots levels. So we're looking at the academy that we want to establish. We truly do believe that this is where the correct skills for any midfielder, for any attacker, defender in the world can start. You need to move quick, you need to be on your feet, you need to think quick, and that's where all these skills, and of course fitness is another level, because it's very high paced. It's very close to HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, which I'm sure that a lot of the players of the national team do. But futsal is, if you look anywhere around the world, is a sport that's really taking over, and it's really inclusive of everybody, because it can be played anywhere that you can put down a field. We are in the with NFA, so we can be the official futsal body of Namibia. Once that is not only for, we've already been approached for a women's development program throughout the country. We've been approached by teams in Rundu, in Oshakati, at the coast. So the idea is to take it national for sure.
The only league will conclude on Saturday the 29th of August.
That's all we have for you. Join us again for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Back to you, Maggie.
Thanks, Charo, for keeping us updated with sports. Time now for the weather forecast.
First, an advisory from the Met Office. The interior will be cold at first, otherwise and mild to warm, and the wind will be moderate northwesterly to southwesterly. Now let's have a look at the minimum and maximum temperatures across the country and beyond.
That is all from us this evening. Tune in again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. From me, Maggie Forciedo, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future. A hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Narobia chipanga no matigo kona kayale Damatimbo yanje tumbo Ndopo katike kuto wanapo Damatimbo yanje tumbo Kienda sontalo hape njokoloto Ndopo tushita meke pa ipo shimo shazinale Atuli undiskitine shizo momadale Ya mwamime, ina mtimbwa nje Yankesha emela nula isambo No matimbo koko, koncharambo Ndadimbo mukambirino yekoko Siyo tangonda mona evita Mo studio tatikira mochita Nani chapongota kongo muzika Ndati chapumba tuchini chita
Gaisi uyo tangonga epa mona mushi Pendo ndeyu computer kokumana kushe Mumti wanjo munike kusheshe.
We took it all away with the help Lot of fans. We took it all away with a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters.
Yes, I know we took it all away with a lot of mics, a lot of studio sessions. Took it all away with a lot of shows and misunderstanding, yeah. Second time what to share. Exit and a mushe.
Hapa tuchitameke paipo chimwa chazinare. Narobia chipanga no matigo kona karare. Damatimbo yanje tumbo. Ndopo katike kuto wanapo. Damatimbo yanje tumbo. Kienda sontalo hape jokoloto. Nagwa tushitameke paipo chimwa chazinare. Atulu mbiskitine shizo momatare. Yankesha emela nula isambo No matimbo koko Koncharambo Ndatibu mukadiri munigoko Distori na tereka sofaya Mepenya simbuko tulimonawa Sotakarika tuningirima yetu naibra Mind our business Maitinga kwe tulandera Kuhani momakumba kage tulangeka Nukangalo taka Demanding our business.
Now we start to play and be tune for the fans. Daddy, don't stop. Say now we man's cup. Inspiration, the generation.
Every time we shake, give us some more. Oh, why you sound so low? Every time we shake, give us some more. Oh, we want some more. How about you make a pipe for Shimo Chazinare? Narobia chipanga no matigo kona karare. Nyamatimbo yanje tumbo Nopo katike kutowa napo Wamatimbo yanje tumbo Ngenda sonjalo hate njongoloto Nopo kushika megepa hivyo shimosha Tulumbiskiti leshiru mumata
I like rhino. I like them very much. Future here in this area is depending on the tourism. The future generation, they can see and they can benefit from their own resources. Animals like rhinos, elephants, the big five, you benefit from them, must be respected. You are not feeding the rhinos, you are not giving them order, so it's a free business. I take two of my sons, which was little bit. They were young guys, so they asked me, and this is our future.
My first memory of going with my dad is that I learned new things. As I grow up as a man, I see an opportunity in it. So I decided to look for a job pertaining to tourism. So that's when I was employed at Palamba. So I decided to go for tour guide studies. Because I grew up with the tourism industry, the wildlife, the rhinos and everything, to bring that experience to the tourists. You can see the hyena. The biggest changes, I was employed, getting paid, and also I can now support my family.
It's a cultural thing. It's coming a long way. Even if you go to area like Trefontein, area was a lot of paintings. You will see rhino engravings on the rocks. That is an indication that the interaction between human, especially the local communities and wildlife, is dating back. That intimacy relationship is coming for a long time.
We are right here now at Palamba. It's one of the big lodges in the heart of the desert. And as you can see there is Yumbo, which shows it's really a tourist area. We do have elephants, lions, but as you can see, the desert is the heart of the rhinos. This is the main breeding area of the rhinos, is what we found here in this desert.
It's the largest free-roaming population that communities in the north, more specifically the establishment of conservancies.
These people, before independence, they took it upon themselves and decided that wildlife is our heritage, and through history we've been living with wildlife, and having wildlife in your area is like having a garden.
Because of all these animals, we've got the communities that benefit from all this wildlife, and it's like a triangle that fits into each other. And the communities looked after the wildlife doing their own thing, and the communities benefit.
So already there were this intergenerational relationship between mankind and wildlife, and that bond is what our people actually wanted to see continuing.
Very few countries have the wildlife that Namibia has. What is also important is the policies that Namibia has put in place, which also involves communities to be engaged in the management of the wildlife species and also to benefit from the wildlife resources.
Turn conservation into a rural economy, turn conservation into endless opportunities that would actually cater for those young people that have nothing else to do.
If it was not for rhino economy and tourism in this area, it was really difficult for young people to get or find a job.
We are conservation engineers. We make conservation work in an unfenced area, and through that, we want to turn the wildlife into the rural economy that will benefit the rural communities.
So we can see now wildlife is doing very well, the lodges are doing well, and the community is also benefiting. So it takes all three together.
Devastating hit over coronavirus fears. Airline industry is facing its biggest threat to travel since 9/11.
Since March, when COVID-19 hit Namibia, things actually become very difficult. In the first place, all the lodges closed down because of COVID-19. With us, Save the Rhino Trust, we had some donors cutting on their funding. And then we had, in the same time, a poaching case of 2 rhinos that was poached. We had less boots on the ground, and poachers could actually see. Now it's our chance to go in and do something. So COVID-19 was tough on all of us. Ginger Morning, who is one of our trustees, actually came up with the idea of, why don't we ask you to go to buy some gold for us and make gold bars, and then we sell them for the rhino conservation.
I was fortunate enough to have a chance to have lunch with Clive Johnson, the CEO of B2 Gold in Vancouver, Canada. And I looked at Clive and I said, we've got rhinos, you've got gold, let's do something. Let's create a coin or a medallion or a bar using your resource to create a sustainable source of funding for rhino conservation for the future.
There was it. The gold was bought, the bar was made, and I think it was 31st of January that we launched the bars in Windhoek. And suddenly one morning I had an email from my office, from my finance person, saying, these people don't have salaries. So I said, oh, what now? So I picked up my phone and I phoned Mark Law. I said, Mark, I've got this problem. He said, but when we've got a fund already ready for you, you just have to apply, put a proposal in.
1,000 ounces of gold can make an enormous difference to the livelihood to the communities. In the absence of tourism, especially now with COVID-19, even prior to that, when we had such a bad drought, the communities became even more dependent on the natural economy.
The idea is to make this a fund that will last for the next 25, 30 years, or even longer. And a portion of that will be distributed immediately as needed. And in this case, the COVID-19 crisis necessitated us to distribute funds, salaries to help people in the field.
The proceeds of the sales from the gold bars will be going towards responsible NGOs, and we've identified Save the Rhino Trust as the key NGO, and IRDNC, one of the first organizations that was in the Northwest, integrated rural development and nature conservation, so that ultimately the funds go to the communities and various aspects of their war on poaching.
hardworking men and women that are always in the front line. You reinvest it in other renewable resources.
Ground is actually protecting the wildlife that's working on the ground, which is a very good symbol for the others.
I wish this was my bar. This is the 500 gram gold bar. You've got the Etindeka Mountains and you've got the mother rhino with the calf. And then on the reverse side, we've got the serial number. You've got the Rand refinery stamp, which is very important. Anywhere in the world, people will recognize, will know that this bar contains 99.99% gold.
It is gorgeous.
We wanted to make a biggest contribution. And at Ballaward, we see that as a way of giving back to the community.
Okay, so there you'll see the 500 gram bar.
Very special.
Feel the weight. It's incredible.
This opportunity which presented itself is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're privileged to have this.
This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think this showcase really what the project is all about.
It's from 24-karat Namibian gold.
I'm looking at these rhinos is put there like this word photogenic, I would say.
There are only 1,000 of these gold bars, rhino gold bars, in circulation.
As far as I'm aware, it's the largest single donation of any corporate to the conservation of biodiversity anywhere in Africa.
Therefore, we so much appreciate and would want to continue as a government to work with B2 Gold.
And the fact that it's happening here in Namibia is something that we can all be extremely proud about and very grateful to B2 Gold.
Thanks to having this literal pot of gold through the funding for the Rhino Gold Bar, we're able to step in now and make sure that those trackers are supported, and so are their families and their communities.
We make sure that people sustain their jobs going forward, and who doesn't want gold?
And the B2 Gold Rhino Gold Bar has come at a critical time now, particularly with tourism being closed off and those forms of revenue not coming in.
To say we have the biggest rhino population or black rhino population in the world, let it be for the rest of our lives. And it's that heritage that we have, it's our resource that we can all look after and protect.
It's our heritage. And it's also good that other people like B2 Gold are also seeing it that way.
It's actually a very nice link between the investor that buys this gold bar, the rhino tracker in the northwest of Namibia, and the black rhinos. It's an intergenerational thing. The rhino trackers teach their children how to track rhinos, their children get taught, and so it flows down.
This is something that I want my children to have, and that we leave a little bit of a and if I can be part of that as part of my family, I'd be very proud.
It can also become an inheritance for the generations of my own clan. My children, my grandchildren.
If we can bring that passion over to future generations and to hand that over to my children, and I hope that that same passion for conservation gets migrated over to my kids.
And what we've done together is create a sustainable source of funding that should outlive all of us.
You know, I think as far as B2 Gold is concerned, we couldn't have chosen a better target in which to put our efforts as far as the environmental and conservation pillar is concerned. And I want to stress there that the thing towards environmental and conservation is actually going towards the people.
Rhino is for all of us, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Vancouver, whether you are in the US. If you really want to see conservation at play with rural communities, I therefore humbly request each and everyone to join us on our rhino tour and have a wonderful experience. This is what keeps rhinos on this planet.
I've done rhino trekking experience. It was just amazing walking in that landscape of the Kunene. And as we followed them, we could now find rhinos with the calf. We got the closest distance we could.
It's a warning sign.
And it was just amazing and lovely. Something to experience that Namibia can offer. something that you have to do.
Where we come from. Can't stop, won't stop. That's the code of a hustler.
We stay on call. There's a devil in the game now. No shortcuts on kids are everybody's cheering on. I got the whole hood bumping their heads. They are putting their bets on you. Family affairs is number one. My choir is standing tall. I haven't lost my mind at all, but the future is looking bright.
Stop us now. Oh, why?